Chris Chan from KaijuPop.com, where today we're playing Spider, Rite of the Shrouded Moon. This is on PS4, PlayStation version, also gets you the Vita version as well, so a rare cross-buy game and a rare Vita game in this day and age. But it fits on the handheld because this is... Oh, that's a new one. Swat houseflies when they land. Okay. Thank you. I'll go that way, but I won't go that way that. See if I can get that housefly then. Got it. Nice. Yes, but it makes sense that this would be on the Vita because Spider, Rite the Shrouded Moon initially came out on the iPhone. This is an iPhone port. And it's actually the sequel to an iPhone game. The original Spider also initially came out on iPhone. I don't know whether that got any home ports. Maybe it came out on PC. I really don't think it came out on any consoles. But Tiger Style did both Spider games. Also did a pretty cool game called Waking Mars, which is another thing that would be a pretty rad iPhone game to port to consoles. But anyway, that's not what this is. This is Spider, a game where you play as a spider and you try and... Well, usually you try and make webs to catch various insects with which to munch on. And you're going about this house. Let's go this way, I suppose. But in this particular... okay, here we finally have a next here. So one of the things I believe was in the first game, I can vaguely remember it, was you know, similar to this, you know, basically the same concept, the same concepts carry through from one game into the next. It appears in that I'm making webs using the circle button here. I have a limited amount of silk. And the more bugs I eat, the more webs that I can make. And if I run out of silk to make webs, then that's a big problem because I need to eat enough to open up the next level. And that's pretty much exactly the same as the original game was, or from what I remember it was a good few years ago now. This year's version, it's hardly an annualized franchise. This time there's a little bit more non-linearity in terms of where you're going within the house. This is weird because now I'm going into a top-down view, so that's very definitely new. Oh wow, okay, it's completely new. So here I'm charging around, looking top-down and not making webs at all. Instead I have to crawl around and jump at things. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, there's a little bit more non-linearity. We're moving around different parts of the house, but I can choose which rooms to go in within these small spaces. And one thing that Spider really prided itself on was, on the surface, being this kind of game about, hey, you're a spider, do spidery things, and eat a whole bunch. And that in itself was perfectly entertaining and a fun time and a nice relaxing little mobile game of, hey, you're a spider, eat stuff. But it was also really interesting from a storytelling standpoint that the house you were exploring had its own... Yay, I ate all the bugs in the level, so I got a little level clear trumpet of success there. Yeah, but it was also notable for having some really interesting storytelling that was based around the house you were in. It was kind of irrelevant to you as the spider, but really, you know, it kind of told a lot. There was a tale in the places you're exploring. There's a little bit of a tale in the places you're exploring here, in the pictures that we found, that I've seen on the wall so far. And the fact that clearly this is someone's breakfast or is something, you know, a big pot of coffee or tea, what have you, with a little bottle of booze there. So there's something going on there. And here this kind of doubles down on that, in that there are hints, and I'm just going around trying to find hints right now. I don't know whether there necessarily is a hint per stage or not, but I'm guessing no. I got all the bugs there, so I got a little bit of a buff there. Yeah, so I'm going to show you. Hang on. So all the insects you discover get added to a board there. You can find out more about an insect. There you go. But this is what I mean. There's different mysteries that you find within the mansion. Here there's a mystery about this organ here, and we found a couple of clues in a couple of different rooms in the house, and if I find one more clue, then I'll uncover what happened to that mystery, or what the story of it is. So it's a little bit more direct with its storytelling, where you can play the original Spider having no clue about the story of it all. Another thing that's novel, you see in the top left here, that's saying that I'm in Kamakura, which isn't exactly true. I am in Kanagawa, but I'm not in Kamakura. I'm a little bit up the road in Yokohama. But the game, and I assume it did this in the mobile version as well, the game kind of figures out where you are, or going on your IP at least, figures out where you are, and then presents the stages you're playing, or there's an option to present the stages you're playing with the time that you're playing and the weather that you currently have. So yesterday I was playing it on a rainy night, and it was raining outside. Now it's a clear night, so I'm getting clear nighttime stages. That doesn't just affect the look of the game, but it also affects what bugs come out. So if you want a complete if you want a complete sort of collection of insects, then you need to change the time and change the weather, or play on different times of the day, and whatnot in order to do that. And I think that's kind of a neat little touch, and it is nice that you can change that manually, and you don't necessarily have to play at all different hours of the day. I think that's pretty rad. It's a nice little touch. But either way, the more you go, the more different weird things that you have to kill. What is that? Let's see if I can bump into it. Okay, that doesn't really do anything. Okay, some bugs, like wasps, ants, things like that. Whoops, you have to bash into, and some bugs you have to trap in a web. And the tricky thing is that your web only has a certain amount of reach, I guess. And so if I try to launch all the way across there, then I'm not going to make it. But I can take advantage of these moths' predilection to light. Okay, not exactly what I wanted, but never mind. I'll take it. Kind of tricky lining up these slots. I'm just gonna jump on that one. It's easiest to do it from here, I think. Oh! Look at that moth. I got two shitty webs instead of one decent one, but I could just get that cricket in there, so I got that. Yum yum. But how to get these three guys? I suppose I can play off heroes there, I guess? Yeah. Maybe? Ah, okay, so I can kind of knock them down into different areas. Ah, okay. So each kind of bug, in a way, has its own means of hunting them, but I have no idea, other than I can bump those out the way. He was in my web, and I still couldn't get him. Let's shoot a bit, shall we? silk, that's a problem. Okay. So I have to bump them into a web. They kind of have to be dazed. They can't just fly in there. Oh no, they'll fly in there if they're in well as well, evidently. Okay, scratch that, never mind. Yeah, get in there. There we go. Yeah, there's something of a hunting game in this, and I mean that in you know, a hunting game in the best possible sense. In a game of tracking and patience and figuring out your best solution to a certain problem. And just kind of nudging these guys along, and also finding a few secret areas as we're seeing here. Get in there. Get in there. Okay. Alright. In this case. In that case. Jump. There we go. Okay, so low silk, but there we go. A little bit of patience, and they'll get there. And I think like that kind of, these levels are fairly short, and they're, you know, they're relatively contained, and you can, crap, that was weird, and you can dip in and out of Spider, which I think made it a good mobile game. But it's bite-sized, but there's also like those elements of patience and being careful and figuring out the best way to take down your prey that give it an interesting amount of depth, I think. I think one of the things that every time you see a mobile port to console, as well as a console port to mobile for that matter, one of the big concerns is, well, I think that the two big concerns are UI and controls of the game itself. And hey, look at that! Found another little sneaky secret here. There you go, the trophy for going up the water spout. There you go. And you get to bits of spider. But I can't. Okay. Can't go in there. Ah. Yeah. Nope. Whoosh, there was a much needed meal there, because we ran out of web juice. Okay, that's the edge of the map. So I got 3 strands I can make a triangle with, but it's all about getting the right angle on these so that I can definitely then eat that bug. I think even if I ate it though, maybe I wouldn't have enough silk afterwards. And so I must feed, okay, so that's giving me 2 silk, but that's probably not enough at the end of the day, because you kind of need at least 3 to move on, but it doesn't matter because I got to the end of that level. Evidently I didn't eat everything on that, and I missed 3 bugs there. Oh, that's not good at all. Okay, there you go. Oh, it actually scoped past the 3 bugs I missed. They were higher up, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of that's Spider really in a nutshell. So there's the new aspects if you haven't played the original game of patrolling along the ground, which I'm not entirely sure of right now. But the the real world location stuff is pretty cool, and the mysteries, I think doubling down on the story is a decent idea while keeping it fairly optional. Having those mysteries there just adds a little something to the story, which is pretty cool, I think. And lots of electricity. There's probably things that can kill me. I got a trophy for spearing a bug in the middle of the air. And there's definitely something satisfying about taking down your prey, either spearing it out the sky or being more patient and waiting. So I'm gonna knock that jar over and unleash all of that stuff, and then that gives me more things to eat, more bugs to eat. Yum yum. There's undeniably something fun about this stuff, but then you see that the story is somewhat more serious, and there's no people. There was no people in the original Spider, at least, and it kind of leaves you to wonder why these mansions are in a state of ruin. And there's already been a couple of pictures of the pregnant Miss Blackbird, I suppose, but no father around for whatever reason. And then here's the baby there. So that's already one sort of storyline thread. Spider thread to think about. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of intrigue, and it's a nice setup. Perhaps not entirely different to the original game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you're dealing with a console port of an iPhone game that of an iPhone sequel to an iPhone game that didn't come to console. So this is a decent place to jump into Spider. I suppose really the only place to jump into Spider now. I'm not even sure you can get the original Spider game even on iOS. I'm not even sure it runs on iOS 10 at this point. But it's definitely, it says a lot that it still feels novel now, quite a fairly long time after its original release. I love things like that as well, just hitting light switches and then of course all the moths come out. Like that's a pretty neat touch. So yeah, Spider Rite the Shrouded Moon, it's out now on Vita and PS4 and also PC and iOS, and it's worth a gander. ChrisJohn for CodePop.com. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.